Keep it going, please. And as you hear these wonderful stories and the speakers, I want you to realize that we all have superpowers. If you are really good at dancing, which I had to say I am, that's a superpower. If you're really good at drawing, if you're really good at singing, if you're really good at cooking, which I am not, yes, ask my wife, you have a superpower. So look within yourself and be glad for the superpower that we all have because we all have a little touch of the divine in ourselves. Let's bring our next speaker of the night. When I asked Maggie what her superpower was and why, she said that her superpower would be the power of touch. And I really had to ask her why. And she said because she would like to be able to touch somebody and turn the hate into love and the pain into okay. So let's bring our next speaker, Maggie. You want to hold it or you want to?
Oh, I'm going to hold it. Thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Hi, I'm Maggie Popadiak. I'm so happy to be here. I want to thank Melanie. Where you at, girl? Okay, I want to thank you, Melanie, because things have been really busy, and rarely do I have the time to kind of just stop, reflect, and think about my values and remind myself of the values that I have and that guide me throughout my life. And I feel lately they've been challenged. So, girl, thank you. Catch my love. I wanted to share really quickly. I wanted to share the book that has changed my life, my North Star, in all of the work that I do, and it's, drum roll please, All About Love by Bell Hooks. A Black feminist writer whose work has deeply shaped how I understand love, justice, and community. I feel like it's less of a book and more of my personal Bible, like the thing that I just keep returning to when I just feel like the work that I'm doing is just not enough, when I'm told the work is not enough, and so I'm just constantly reminded. And this book has helped me understand something I couldn't fully understand or name before, that explains why we are where we are as a nation, and that we are living in a profoundly loveless time, except here because I feel a lot of love here. But as the book says, right, we are living in a profoundly loveless time. And I've spent much of my life surrounded by love without fully understanding it, and it wasn't until this book when she gave me a language for it. And she says, love is not merely a feeling. It is care, commitment, trust, knowledge, responsibility, and respect. A daily practice of courage, accountability, and choosing each other in a loveless world. I learned love subconsciously through survival. Looking back now, I realize love has always been a force that has shaped my life, whether I understood it or not. I am the daughter of Polish immigrants. Love was rarely spoken out loud. Polish people, if you know them, they're kind of stoic, a little Eastern European, a little dark, right? Do you know any Polacks? You know one now. So they rarely talked about love, but now I see as an adult that it was practiced through their sacrifice and through protection and through survival. When I was 7 years old, I woke up to the sound of chaos coming from the dining room / my mom and my dad's bedroom, and my father had just had a heart attack. And I witnessed my mom, the love of her life, pass away. And after he died, grief completely consumed her. And she fell into an alcoholic depression that almost took her life when I was in 8th grade. And thanks to therapy, I now realize why I love 8th graders so much. And I'm like, oh, okay, thank you, Kelly Ortega. For years, our home was a place where there was a lot of fear, a lot of instability, and a lot of silence. But love comes in all forms, and now I'm able, as a 42-year-old, to reflect on that time and see all the signs of love. And that came in the form of keeping secrets so that we don't share with anybody that my family was undocumented. Love looked like love looked like my second grade teacher, Mrs. Goodrich, who realized that I smelled something funky or that I smelled a little funky because we weren't doing the laundry. And so she bought us shoes and socks and a toothbrush, and she filled our fridge. So shout out to Mrs. Goodrich. Love looked like my Aunt Barbara helping us apply for government assistance when my mom was too broken with grief to navigate the system. Love looked like the form of the Garcia family in Bucktown letting us stay in our apartment after my dad died. And for 6 months, we couldn't afford rent, but they let us stay. Love looked like my Uncle George moving us to Albany Park so we could be near his younger sister. Love is my husband, David, who's riding the emotional waves of my grace. With grace, cooking for us, washing dishes, and re-washing the laundry I forgot like 3 days ago so that he can re-wash and the mildew stain gets out. He puts it in the dryer and then he hangs it up for me. Shout out for David. It's loving my ever-changing body as my metabolism slows and perimenopause sets in. What the devil? Shout out to Sonia Renee Taylor's The Body Is Not an Apology, a workbook everybody should check out. I also learned how devastating the loss of love can be. As a child, I watched grief consume our life, and I think part of me really became terrified of love because I saw what happens when you fall in love so deeply, and how it can destroy you. And so now that also explains all the times boys told me that they liked me and I ran away. I was like, can't talk to you anymore. Thank you, Kelly Ortega. But also, love looked like my mom choosing to fight for us. It looked like her choosing sobriety and continuing to choose it every single day since 1997. So let's give it up. I don't know how she did it. Statistically, cold turkey, it was insane. So, APTB, I work at Albany Park Theater Project. Thank you. I am Associate Director and Director of School-Based Programs, and I joined APTB as a teenager because I didn't want to go home. I was afraid that the promise she made would be broken, and so I just wanted to go and do theater. I wanted to escape into other people's stories and tell their stories, and instead, APTB asked me to share my truth, and I shared my story. And I remember bringing the story, the transcript of the story, home to my mom and sitting beside my sister and my mom on the couch that she called her bed, and we read the transcript out loud. And that story eventually became a play, and my family came to see it. And somehow through storytelling and art, we began grieving together for the first time. Art is magical. It is a superpower. I believe that fully. And it was at APTP that I also started to unlearn fear. I began learning how to love my neighbor not as an abstract concept, but in practice. I learned about my neighbors next door who were from Laos or from Cambodia, people from all over the world. And as an adult, I'm still working at APTP. I collaborate alongside young people and help transform their heartbreak into art. Recently, we're devising for our new show, which is coming out this summer. Check us out. The American Project. Why do we call it that? Because now there's so much pressure for America's birthday to tell the story of America. But we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. While we were gathering stories for the show, we have this young person, this young Sudanese immigrant young person who shared a story about walking his brother home from school and being targeted with vile racism. And what devastated him was not the hate. It was the fact that his neighbor filmed the incident and refused to help him. And he would say things like, "That's not my problem, that's your problem." And that is another, there are times where I'm just constantly reminded, I know that love is there, I know that it's there, but the hate just seems so much louder right now, and it's in our face. And so I keep thinking about how easy it has become to disconnect from one another's humanity. And loving people feels harder right now. And I know that I'm not the only one grieving. We're grieving for our country. We're grieving for our neighbors. We're grieving for each other and what this country can be and what it must be. And there's a line from WandaVision. I don't know if you saw WandaVision, but it just keeps echoing in my mind, and it's going to become a tattoo at some point, which is that, what is grief if not love persevering? And I feel it. I feel it every time I see a red hat or a hateful sign or slogans that become normalized. I feel my heart becoming like more cynical, more cold, and more angry. And in the middle of all that, I keep coming back to something that Bell Hooks writes about, which is rarely, if ever, are any of us healed in isolation. Healing is an act of communion. Because Bell Hooks reminds us that love is not weakness. I'm sick of that, man. It's done. It's 2026. I mean, there's so much that is. But love is work. Love is discipline. Love is choosing not to surrender our humanity. All About Love asks us to speak directly to our hearts. And so I think my heart is screaming, girl, keep fighting, keep loving, especially when it's hard. Because hate is everywhere, Maggie. Right now, you can't escape it. The doom scrolls, you can't escape it. And hate is easy. It's contagious. But love is there too. Love is what makes people wake up early in the morning to walk other people's kids to school because they're scared. It's the whistle brigades. Love is what built community around me when grief hollowed me out. Love is what allows young people to tell the stories about their lives. And in a world constantly asking us to hate each other and to be fearful of one another, choosing love may be the most difficult and the most necessary thing that we have to do. Thank you.